Putin's economy is falling apart. This isn't a publicity stunt. This is a state of panic. Workers at a nuclear site that is well guarded have gone on strike, saying they haven't been paid in 5 months. Factories are closing down, and 250,000 Russians have already lost their jobs. Because of how bad the financial crisis is, the central bank that Putin controls is stuck in a deadly paradox. If they lower interest rates, they could cause hyperinflation like what happened in the 1990s. But if they keep interest rates high, they are basically killing the whole Russian economy, which will lead to a lot of big bankruptcies. The allies of Putin are in disarray because of this panic. When the sanctioned oligarchs at Lukoil were in a hurry to sell off their assets around the world, they struck a deal with Gunvor, a company founded by Gennady Timchenko, a close friend of Putin's, to work together. But the deal was made public. Gunvor quickly pulled its offer after the US Treasury Department called the company a Kremlin Puppet. This shows that Russia can't sell its own assets without first getting permission from the West. Even the people who work for Putin to spread lies are warning everyone about the dangers of the truth. You should listen to this audio clip. The person you are about to hear from is a pro-war blogger from Russia who used to work as a defense executive and a legislative advisor. He is also making money directly from Putin's war spending. And even he is warning that everything is about to fall apart. The real part of the economy is in a really bad place right now because money has become more expensive. The rate of devaluation is going up, costs are going up, and it is hard to get cheap financing. Everyone is having trouble with their cash flow right now, and we are seeing a rise in barter agreements like the ones that were popular in the 1990s. His claim is not wrong. When he says, money has become expensive, he means the interest rate in Russia, which is 16.5% and is very high. If you're a Russian company trying to build a factory or even just stay afloat, you might have to make loan payments that are hard to make. This has become a problem for the whole system. The most recent information from Russian economic monitors shows that businesses are now spending an all-time high of 36% of their profits just to pay off their loans. It's even scarier that 25% of all loans made by Russian businesses are now past due. This isn't a slowdown. It's a flood of bankruptcies that are about to happen. Russian oligarchs are begging Elvira Nabiullina, the governor of the Central Bank of Russia, to lower interest rates for this very reason. But she knows what's really going on. She made it clear that lowering rates would not help the economy. Instead, it would destroy it. What could happen if we lower the key rate to 3 to 4%, given the fact that inflation is currently high? We will definitely do such a study, but only to show what the path to hyperinflation looks like. Most of the people in this room went through it in the 1990s. That time period led to the full dollarization of the economy. Nabiullina is stuck and can't find a way out. She is the only technocrat left in Russia who knows what she's doing, and she's working hard to fight the inflation that Vladimir Putin is causing. The Kremlin thought it could print its way to victory, but all it is doing is making prices go up. The central bank is trying to slow down the economy by raising interest rates to as high as 16.5%. But Putin is flooding the economy with printed money to pay for the war, which makes it grow. What happened as a result? The worst thing that could happen to the Russian economy is happening. Inflation is still very high, and interest rates are so high that they are hurting every other part of the economy at the same time. It's clear that the collapse has happened. A Russian space company recently lost power because it couldn't pay its overdue electricity bill, which was almost $650,000. They cut off the power supply because the energy company didn't get a single response from the company. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. The problems are so widespread that even the government can't hide them. The Russian Ministry of Labor had to say that economic difficulties had caused 250,000 Russians to lose their jobs. The Kremlin can control the press, but as the saying goes, you can't silence empty stomachs. For example, let's look at the Ulyanovsk region's high-tech nuclear power plant. Putin was bragging about this place. The workers at Organos Troy Dimitrag, who are working at the MIR site for the company, just uploaded this video. They are on strike to protest. Why? This is because they haven't been paid since June. The right answer is 5 months. Our names are Organos Troy Dimitrag. We have been getting our salaries late for the past few months, starting in June. It has now been 2 months since I got my paycheck. We ask that you look into this. The only thing these people have left to live on is nothing. They can't pay back the money they borrowed. Debts have been piling up. The living conditions at Mir are also bad. The toilets, on the other hand, are full of sewage. There isn't enough water. All lunches have been canceled. People who live in the dormitory and work there are getting eviction notices. We have already made a formal request to the district attorney's office, but nothing has changed. Please, Alexander Ivanovich Bastrikin, do something about this situation. This isn't the first time this has happened. The Russian government says that the total amount of unpaid wages for workers across the country has reached an incredible 2 billion rubles. When you think about it, that amount is only about $25 million, which isn't very much. But when you think about how much money a Russian worker makes on average, the $25 million in unpaid wages is equal to almost 50,000 people and their families who aren't getting paid. When people stop getting paid, hope goes away. This is good news for the people of Ukraine. If people aren't getting paid, the Russian Federal Tax Service can't collect taxes from them. That means that the money in Putin's bank account is going down. In October, the Russian federal budget showed a drop of more than 12% in revenue compared to the previous year. This is what is causing the deficit to go through the roof. The Russian newspaper Kommersant says that the budget deficit has grown to 4.2 trillion rubles, which is about $51 billion, or 1.9% of GDP. The Ministry of Finance thinks that by the end of the year, things will get even worse, with a total of 5.7 trillion rubles, which is 2.6% of the gross domestic product. Why? Kommersant says that the irreducible level of required state expenditure and the reduced expectations for oil and gas revenues are the reasons for the situation. Putin's war is costing the Russian economy more than it can handle, plain and simple. This financial strain has gotten so bad that even companies in the defense industry are starting to slow down. For the first time since the war began, factories that make weapons are laying off workers and cutting pay. We have now reached the last resort, which is to punish people. The budget fell apart because the United States put in place new, smarter sanctions. Also, the billionaires in Russia can't get away. You probably still remember Lukoil, which is Russia's biggest privately owned oil company. It is also one of the two businesses that have just been punished. They had a big presence all over the world, with gas stations in New York and New Jersey, and operations in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. Because of the penalties, they had to sell all of their international assets within a month, by December 22nd. If you had to sell your whole empire in 30 days, you would want there to be a bidding war, right? You would want to get the best price possible. Lukoil didn't do that. They quickly signed a secret, no-bid deal with a small, little-known Swiss company called Gunvor. It seems like their main goal was to give the assets to a friend, and getting a good price for them wasn't important to them. What a great friend, too. Let's take a look at the past. Gennady Timchenko, a Russian oligarch, started a company called Gunvor in 2000. This is very important. Timchenko made his money in the 1990s in the city of St. Petersburg. At the same time, Vladimir Putin was the deputy mayor of St. Petersburg. His job included overseeing energy deals and trade with other countries. Timchenko was trading oil while Putin was working on signing the permits. Gunvor was founded in 2000, the same year that Putin became president. It's amazing that this Swiss company became a major player in the export of Russian oil, getting a lot of government contracts, even though it was based in Switzerland. The link was so clear that in 2007, the Kremlin had to officially deny claims that Putin had a financial stake in the company. But there is clear proof that, in 2014, when Putin invaded Crimea, the US made plans for sanctions against his inner circle. Timchenko sold his stake in Gunvor the night before those sanctions were announced. We can say that this was a very good time. You could also say that it was all a front and that Timchenko, and by extension Putin, still has power over the company. We can't be the first to find this out. The US intelligence agencies have already done so. The US Department of the Treasury wasn't going to let this fake deal go unpunished. This comment, which they made, was very harmful. President Trump has made it clear that the war needs to end right now. Gunvor, the Kremlin's middleman, will never be able to get a license to run a business and make money as long as Putin keeps killing people for no reason. The Department of the Treasury specifically called out these people and called them Kremlin's Puppet. Gunvor's CEO quickly denied the charges, but in the same statement, he also backed out of the deal to buy Lukoil's assets. Basically, what he was saying was, hey, we aren't the ones who did all the illegal things you're blaming us for, but now that you've brought it up, we'll stop it anyway. This is a big win. It shows that the US can decide with just one news story whether or not a Russian company can sell its assets. Anyone who says that the US dollar is losing value should bring this up as proof. Even though the ruble of Russia may still be around, the idea that Russia is economically independent is no longer true. Only the United States of America can set rules for business that happens between countries. They will also keep Putin informed about this situation as long as the conflict continues. Do you have any ideas? Is the Russian economy at a point of no return? Please leave a comment to let us know. Thank you for watching.